Okay. I've got a big cup of coffee, and I finished the refactor now. The refactor that I've been working on for about 3 months. Um, I've basically everything's back to the point where it should be, with the addition of the the new envelope editor changes. Um, so I'm at the point now where I'm just going through and testing things and fixing all the hundreds of bugs that I've added during the refactor. Um, so I've been fixing loads of bugs, and some of the bugs that I've been fixing turns out existed in the previous version of Blockhead in the Patreon build, and most of them are things that I've introduced during the refactor. So I've just found a bug, which well, I found it last night. I need to remember what it is actually. It was, what was it? It was something to do with reverse manipulators, and I thought, okay, I can. That seems like an interesting one to start recording a video. And the problem is, hold on, how does? Oh, this says this sample has like reversed elements in it, so. Now the problem actually is I've just realized that you're not going to be able to hear the Blockhead audio because I haven't set things up properly. How can I do that? Wait. Does this just do it? Can you hear that? Okay, I'm gonna output this for the recording that I've done so far, and listen back and see if you can hear that. Okay, back in a second. All right, that's actually perfect. So I don't know if things are like at the right level, like my voice compared to the audio, but it'll have to do. Not gonna fuck around getting the levels exactly right. So here's a sample. If we add a reversed part to it, it continues reversing after it's supposed to stop. But interestingly, you can see in the waveform the part that is actually reversing. But audibly, it seems to just keep reversing after it stops. And this is regardless of the mode. I actually don't... It sounds like there is... I don't know what's happening at all. So this is interesting because one of the nice things about the way that Blockhead implements like the relationship between the visuals and the audio is that, generally speaking, the waveform that Blockhead generates is always going to be a direct visual representation, like a good visual representation of what's actually happening in the audio. Because generally speaking, the algorithm responsible for generating these waveforms and the algorithm in the audio thread that generates the output audio, it's going through the same code basically to generate, like with the waveforms it's going through quicker, obviously, because it's basically generating one frame per horizontal pixel on the screen, whereas the audio thread is going through the same algorithm essentially at a finer grained resolution, like a sample rate basically. But generally the waveform should be representative of the audio, and in this case it's obviously not. Unless it's the baked audio that I'm hearing. No, same thing, even without baking. So So that's interesting. So the way this works is it's generating um, a list of points where the reversals begin and end. I don't think this is going to be any kind of issue inside the sampler plugin itself, like the actual DSP, because that stuff has not changed. And I did check the Patreon build of Blockhead to see if this is also a problem there, and it isn't. So it's something that I've introduced during the refactor, this bug. So I wonder what's happening. The bit that's most perplexing about it is the fact that the waveform looks correct. Like you can actually see where the reversal is happening and where it's starting and stopping. But audibly, something else is happening. So that's an interesting bug. That's why I thought that, okay, I will record myself struggling to fix that, because maybe that would be actually interesting, more interesting than the previous video. I actually did record another like 2 hours of video, but it turned out to be so fucking bad. I was like, I can't upload this. It's just, I was just struggling so much to explain what I was doing, but I got quite a lot done in that video actually. So there's some interesting stuff in there. But anyway, right, let's actually get on with it. Which means I have to actually think, where should I even start looking? Option. Right. As usual, I don't remember how this stuff works because it's all so complicated. I know I don't like put comments in my code, but no amount of comments would actually help understand this stuff because it's so bizarre. It's like unlike anything I've ever seen in software. The way that manipulators work in Blockhead, like it's complicated in the actual design rather than the implementation. But this should be the place I should be looking, I suppose. Right. So what is this saying? This is generating it's kind of like envelope data, but it's basically a list of it's the places where the reversal starts and stops for this manipulator. So this data that I've generated here, it's saying at position 28075, which should be, it's going to change now because I'm dragging it around, but there's a position here which is like 28,000 or whatever. Mirror mode is index 0, tape is 1, slip is 2. So it's going to say at this point in the manipulator, it's index 0, and at this point it's some sentinel index, so it's like some stupid number indicating the end of the modulation. So 28 whatever 0, so that's the beginning of the mirror mode, and then at 74,000 whatever, this is a magic number indicating the end of the modulation. So that all looks correct. So that's the manipulation data that is generated for that one manipulator block. If there's multiple manipulation blocks, then this will happen multiple times, and they will be like sort of added and accumulated together. But we only have one, so it's a simple case. So this bit seems correct to me. Now what is this? Generate manipulation steps. Yes. Okay, fine. What am I outputting here? Do, 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 do. I'm outputting a vector of option manipulator steps. Now this stuff is going to be processed in a background thread, which is an optimization that I did a couple of builds ago. So that's nothing that's changed. So it's probably not any kind of horrible multi-threading problem. So I guess I break in here and see what's happening. So this is this reverse manipulation that I just generated. So we've got to here. This is sure. Okay, let's just see the so this apply call is going to apply the manipulation data to the reversal modulation data that's basically built into the sampler block. Even though it's just like an on-off toggle, if you have no manipulators active, it's just an on-off toggle, obviously. So you could represent that using a Boolean, but obviously in Blockhead, it could have a manipulator applied to it. So it always has basically modulation data, but it's just like one point saying at position 0, that either it is or isn't a reversal, and it goes infinitely. Something like that. I think that's right, what I'm describing there. So after the manipulation has been applied, the data looks like this. Which looks correct to me. Hold on, what? Hold on. I'm not convinced, actually. So step... Oh, I can't debug that anymore. Or can I? I can look at it here. So at 28,000, it gets set to 0, mirror mode, and 74, it ends the manipulation. And that resulted in this. Ah, right. So this 0 here is relative to the beginning of the sampler block rather than the beginning of the manipulator. So this could be correct. It looks reasonable to me. Although 118,000. It looks really reasonable to me. That all seems fine. Okay. Right. So who knows how long this is going to take me to figure out. I'm probably going to start going very quiet while I think and stare at things. Maybe it's in here. Maybe the problem is here. I think this is just converting things to another format. I don't think it's doing anything that interesting. This all looks fine to me. Yeah. That all looks fine. I don't know where else to look now, other than in the actual DSP where it's reading this data at the end in the actual audio thread. It also sounds a little bit glitchy, but that might just be because I'm in debug mode. That doesn't sound like a clean reversal of the sample, actually. Maybe it is. Yeah, see that I moved it over here and it changes how it sounds over here. something really fucked up is happening. Alright. I don't think there's going to be any problem with the actual sampler plugin. But I'm going to go in there anyway, just to sort of inspect the data. But I want to see what the data looks like by the time it gets to the plugin, because there's more fuckery that happens before it actually gets to the DSP. So let's put a breakpoint here. This is inside the sampler plugin, the classic sampler plugin. So we're inside the DLL now. It's not doing it because it's baked. The audio is baked. So I need to switch this, then it will do the real-time processing. So now it should go into the DSP. Hold on, let me just check again how it sounds. I think it does still, yeah, without the baking, it does still change slightly depending on whereabouts this is positioned. It changes audio over here slightly. Also, it just doesn't sound consistent. Okay, so sorry. Right. Options, reverse mode, data, points, data. How can I get Visual Studio to help me? Options, reverse mode, data, points, data. I think I can do UD comma. Whoops. Come on, Visual Studio. Why would you do that? You like moved my other cursor position to the beginning when I was typing. This looks fine to me. Right. Now I have all this. When I added, I remember when I added reverse modulation using manipulators. If you do it in a really naive way, then it just creates a bunch of artifacts at like the boundaries of where the reverses begin and end. So I like generate these grains. I call them correction grains, which is what is happening down here. These like fade in, fade out grains where the reversals begin and end, and I overlay them. I like mix them over the finished signal, just to smooth out the edges of the reverses. So when a reversal begins and ends, like the reverse, it continues reversing for a tiny period at the edge of the modulation. It continues reversing, but fades it out and then fades the non-reversed signal back in. But it does it so quickly that you can't really hear it, but it eliminates artifacts. I remember when I implemented that, I just did it really quickly, and I was like, that's probably fine. I'll go back and clean that up later. And I never did. So this code is a bit more messy than I like the DSP to be generally. So I might regret that. But again, I don't think the problem is going to be in the DSP. Because I haven't changed it. But at this point, so the audio that we're generating at this point is to the right of the manipulator block. So there shouldn't be a reversal happening at this point. Get reverse positions. Generate correction grains. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, so it's processing the. I mean, I knew this was going to happen. Let's go to the next. Tape transformer. What happens in here? Apply reverse. This is what I was just looking at, right? Yeah. Apply reverse. What's this? Okay. Okay. Oh my lord. Okay. Stage. Okay. Fuck is happening? Ah. keep looking at that data as if it's going to change, but I just don't understand. Block position. So these are block positions, these X values. The current block position is 214,000. This is the position in the block of the sampler that we're currently generating audio for. So 214,000 is way to the right of that manipulator block, and it's way to the right of this final point in the modulation data where it turns the reversal off, where it's setting it back to -1, which means off. So we're past the right hand point of the, so it's iterating through modulation points, searching for where we are. So it should get to the final one, right? Yeah. Generate a correction grain. Why? It doesn't make sense that let me just double check. I did check before. This this bug should not exist in 0.28.3, which is the current Patreon build. I checked before. I couldn't hear it happening. Sounds fine. It's exactly what it should sound like. But now I'm looking at the DSP and like, well, it's generating correction grains, but maybe they don't matter. Now this sampler plugin has not changed during the refactor, so it hasn't changed since the previous Patreon build. And I've got this problem that I'm looking at the waveform and it looks correct, even though the audio sounds incorrect. So what the hell is happening? It's very interesting. I'm looking at the DSP just to get an idea of, just to like sort of inspect the data as it flows through the system to see if I see anything strange. But I really doubt the bug is in the DSP. Because again, I know I keep repeating myself. It hasn't changed. So there shouldn't be a bug there. The only thing that's changed is the stuff around the DSP that like passes data to it. Wait, that sound is weird. It was sort of... It sort of is going forward, but it's reversing at the same time. It feels like it is to do with the correction grains that I was talking about. I only brought that up because I was making a comment on the state of the code. but it sort of sounds related audibly to those correction grains I was talking about. Because it is generating correction grains. Am I just... Oh, hold on, let me think. You know what? Hmm. You know what I'm going to do? This could be a little fucking crazy. I am going to drag the current version of the plugin, which should be the same, but it's just a different build, and it's a debug build. I'm going to drag it into the old version of Blockhead, and then try to debug the DSP with the old version of Blockhead running, and see if it looks correct. Where is it? Open. I think I dumped them into... Where do I put the old versions of... Oh, front binaries. Generators. If I copy this to the old version of Blockhead, and then if I do the following. So this is the old version of Blockhead, but I'm going to attach to the process. So it's an old version of Blockhead with the current debug version of the sampler block. So I should be able to break. Yes, okay, good. So I want to inspect the modulation data and see if it's doing the same thing as it was. I reckon it's not. Data, options, reverse, points, data. It's doing the same thing. It looks the same. So I thought maybe I was using a different value other than -1 to end the modulation. But no, that's not the case. It looks exactly the same. I wonder if it's still... Still generating these grains. What's going on? Oh. Wait. What? Why is the debugger like jumping all over the place like it's a release build? There should be a debug version of the plugin that I'm... This is not a debug version. What? I mean, it's got the same file size as this one. What's happening? I'm confused. I'm confused. Oh, hold on. I copied the wrong one. I copied the wrong one. I'm debugging your release build. Where's the actual one? Sampler, this one. Because it has DBG in the name. Right, that's the one I want. Getting confused again. Here, 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 here. Right. So delete that one. Can't because it's in use. Okay. Oh, is that actually gonna... It might not load it in a release build. Yeah, defaulted to fudge because it can't load the sampler. But I think the only thing it does to check that, I think all it does is look at the file name. So if I just lie and say, yeah, this is a release build, then I think it'll load it. I can't remember how it works exactly. I think it just looks at the file name. Yeah, okay. Okay. So this is a release build of the previous... It's the previous Patreon build, which is a release build, but it's using a debug build of the classic sampler plugin. So I should be able to look it up in the debugger without anything weird happening, which is what was happening before. Okay. Reattach. What's happening? Okay. Okay. This is just kind of weird though. Is this happening? Yeah. The problem's not going to be in here. But I don't know where else to look right now. What is all this? Oh, is this the... Mm-hmm. I think this. I think it generates like correction grains no matter what if there's at least one reversal happening. But the correction grains that it generates are uh silent, so it doesn't matter. So I'm this is incorrect DSP, but it's not something that I care about right now. This is the volume of the correction grain, which is just 0 all the way through. Except for here. Oh. Oh dear. Oh, it's not 0. This is an audible correction grain. The fuck is that? Right. The sampler plugin is broken. I'm pretty sure. I think it's broken in an inaudible way at the moment. So that's interesting. I think this is a completely separate bug, which I will try to fix. But I think the sampler, the default sampler plugin, the classic, is actually generating artifacts, but they're not necessarily particularly audible. But they might be audible if you listen very, very closely or inspect them in some kind of analyzer. I don't think this is the bug that I am looking at the moment, though. I think it's just a bug that I found, like an unrelated bug. Because it still doesn't. You know what? Actually. Um. Let's see what that does. This has disabled the correction grains entirely, so it should still do the reversal, but it might have like little pops and clicks at the edges. No, nothing to do with the correction grains, it seems. What? I might be wrong. It didn't rebuild the plugin. Okay. So erase what I just said about it definitely not being the correction grains. That one's too busy. It is to do with the correction grains. So maybe it is the same bug, but I don't understand why it's not happening in the previous version of Blockhead. That is surprising. That doesn't make sense to me. Because we saw that it sounds the same. It sounds correct in the previous version of Blockhead. With this version of the plugin. The plugin definitely hasn't changed. That is bizarre. Baking is turned off. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. That explains why the waveform looks correct, but the audio doesn't, because correction grains are not generated. They are not accounted for. They're not just not a thing in the waveform generation. Even though it's going through the same algorithm to generate waveform positions, the correction grains only exist in the actual DSP, not in the UI path. And so it feels like it is generating the correct waveform positions, but then it's overlaying the correction grains over the top when it shouldn't be. So basically at this point, what I'm going to do next is have a very close look at I'm going to remind myself how this correction grain stuff actually works and go on a deep dive until I find the bug. I'm going to be amazed to find out the reason for why this is not a problem in the previous version of Blockhead. Cannot wait to find the reason why that is. That is bizarre. There's going to be a reason. There's always a reason. There's a reason for everything. But one thing that I'm certain of is that the way the correction grains are supposed to work, if I create modulation data like this, there's a correction grain generated here where it fades out the forward traversal of the sample and fades in the reverse. Is that how it works? I think so, yeah. It fades out the forwards and fades in the backwards. Does that make sense? And then at the end of this modulation, it creates another correction grain where it fades out the backwards and fades in the forwards. And then it continues forwards. From this point forwards, no correction grains should be generated. But it seems like even in the previous version of Blockhead, where this sounds correct, it was generating correction grains all the time. But they were like weird scuffed correction grains, which were essentially inaudible. But they were there. And so this is definitely broken in the previous version of Blockhead and in the current one. Okay, well, let's just see what's happening. Alright, further explanation. I'm processing audio in chunks of 64 frames, which is what's requested by the current audio driver that I'm using. There's a window somewhere in here where the edge of this modulation happenings, and in that 64 frame buffer, I'm traversing this modulation and going, hey, this is the edge of the modulation, so I need to generate a correction grain. The correction grain may be longer than 64 frames, probably is. It's probably like, I can't remember what length. I think it's a hard-coded length of like 500. Well, it's not a number of frames. It's going to be like a time duration, like 1/10 of a second or something like that. So it's going to span multiple buffers. So I might get to this point and say this is the edge of modulation, generate a correction grain, but then in the next buffer that I'm processing for the audio driver, I can see that I'm not at the edge. of the modulation. So I'm not going to generate another correction grain. I shouldn't. But I should see that I already have a correction grain that was generated previously, which is processing. Oh, I just remembered also, you can like arbitrarily make very small. Oh, this is a bit scuffed, isn't it? That doesn't look correct. Whoa, this doesn't look. I've got some bugs with the drawing, it seems. If I draw backwards. Okay, that's bugged. If I draw forwards, it's okay. Okay, that's another bug. Let me just make a note of that. It's backwards step drawing. That's scuffed. If I always draw forwards, it's fine. If I draw backwards, it generates garbage. Okay, I'll investigate that later. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, if you have very small sections like this, I do actually generate smaller correction grains so that they can fit in. So you could still do like really glitchy stuff if you want. Also, I'm zooming in. Oh, what the fuck? Right. I found another problem. Ah. If I zoom in. Whoa. Now I start drawing it updates to where it should be. I want to fix that right now. I'm putting the DSP bug on hold. So I need to fix this first. Okay, so this kind of thing happens all the time where I'm like in the middle of one bug and I find another bug. So this actually will be as a result of the refactor that I did. Will actually be, this makes sense. This kind of bug makes sense. Okay, this is going to be probably that I'm simply not calling this right here. Let's have a look. Don't need that manipulator. It happened once. In. It does happen. Interesting. The offset set 30. What's this? What is this offset? Oh. Okay. So it's a one line fix. This bug makes sense because I rewrote all this stuff. Well, I didn't rewrite it, but I refactored it. So there's a bit of copy pastage going on from the old version. But I don't know why I keep doing that. Reverse. Whoops. Excuse me. Oh, what did I just click? What? Okay. Here we go. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. Okay, that's perfect. Did I fix this? Oh, that also fixed the backwards drawing. Brilliant. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. If I zoom in far enough, it's still broken. Whoa. I can sort of see what's happening. This is like, I'm super zoomed in right now. Like almost as far as I can go. That's why I'm getting these like coarse steps. So paints. That's how it looks when I paint right. All right, let's fix this. So look, I'm just gonna stare at the code now then, I guess. I want to check if this is in the old version as well, actually. Because if it is, then I want to make a note in the release notes that it's fixed. It was a bug, okay. Yeah. How do you even describe this? um, what is it? I don't know what sequence of words describes what's happening there. Gaps generated when painting backwards in step editor. Okay. Okay. What? What? What do I do? Begin drawing, blah, blah, blah. This is... Oh, it's not going to be here, though. It's going to be in here, I think. So these lane objects, these lane nodes, are just being used for visuals in this case. And I'm doing all of the painting in the step painter itself. I know that's not going to make any sense to anybody. I'm just saying words out loud. How does this work? Painting. Paint buffer. Pixel X L X R. What is all this? Fill paint buffer, apply paint buffer. Mm-hmm. So this is happening every time the cursor moves, left or right, I think. Paint. Alright. Seems simple. Calculate paint value. Yeah, that's the value, okay. This is 1 if we're going forward, or -1 if we're going backwards. Paint buffer. Buffer. Oops. Pixels to paint. Right. So probably where the problem is in that apply paint buffer function, where, because what that does is when you have when you paint in such a way that it joins up with an existing block, it will combine them into one block instead of, because I do actually have to generate it converts this into an optimal format, so it's not literally like a bitmap, even though you're drawing as if it's a bitmap, but at the end of the day, it has to be formatted in a way that's efficient for the audio thread. So I actually generate distinct blocks. So like begin, end, begin, end, begin. And so when you draw in such a way that it joins up with an existing block, we have 2 blocks here, but then it joins up and it generates 1 block from the 2. And you get very close. It does, I guess, treat it as 2 blocks until you paint over the line, and then it will join them up. Probably shouldn't happen like that. I think if the blocks are literally touching, then it should join them up. But currently, I've still got the mouse button pressed. I have to keep dragging to the right, and then it'll join them up when you pass that point. Probably shouldn't work that way. But that should happen in here, I think. Let's have a look. This is a place where comments actually would be helpful. Probably. So left data end. Left data end. What's going on? Alright, let's see what's happening. Because just staring at it is not helping. So I painted a single pixel. Interesting. Okay, that makes sense. So I painted a single pixel. It's converting it into so say how to explain this? If I click the mouse button and drag to the right to paint a single pixel onto the painter, I have a left pixel position and the right pixel position, depending on where I started painting and where I am to the right. So in this case, it's a single pixel, so it's 766 to 767. Then I'm converting that to a left and right song position, which is like position in the actual audio timeline. Because I'm so zoomed in, it's the same song position for even though it's two different pixels, because it's rounding it to an integer. So I guess that makes sense so far. Left data end. This is the existing. These are the existing blocks for the current lane that I'm editing. Again, this is a magic value indicating the end of a block. And the value 0 basically means the mirror reverse mode, which is the one that I was editing. I really just don't understand any of this code because I'm really dumb. Alright, you know what I actually want to test? So when I paint here, it should do this. Wait, that's what's going on there. If I just click, then it will generate one tiny block. It shouldn't be doing that. Alright, let's investigate that first. Let's delete all of this stuff so it's less confusing. generating this one tiny block. Should it be doing that? I don't think so. It should at least be that big. If you like click and make a tiny edit. So it might be in here that the problem is here. Edit data. This shouldn't be generated, should it? I'm trying to remember if there's a reason why I coded it in this way such that this kind of thing can happen. Because I vaguely remember being like, oh, what should happen if you just click on the editor without moving the mouse just to create a tiny little bit? Because you might want to do that. I was like, oh, it should just create, if you just click without moving the mouse, it should create a tiny little block. But it's creating a block of size 0. It's going from this position to this position, and it's equal. So it's a block that doesn't even have a size, which is, I mean, that's clearly incorrect. So this shouldn't be happening. Okay. So okay. So I assume that's being generated here. It's currently 0. Right, so it's generated in this function. Surely it's just this. The fact that I'm so zoomed in that it's creating a block that's smaller than a single. It's not an audio sample, but it's like a song rate sample. I shouldn't have stopped debugging. I think the simplest fix would just be to compare this to this and break out the function immediately if it's equal. But I kind of want to see what's actually happening in the function when they're equal. So these are equal 2889. Okay. Seven eight seven to 788. So these are the pixels. Hmm. It's calculating that again for some reason. Ah. Alright, fine. I don't understand the code, but I'm just going to say if pos L equals pos R. Do I still need to call this? I don't know if this is going to cause problems. Okay, so that solved the problem of... No, see, the problem is more generalized than that, because it can still generate these tiny blocks here. So I think I should just leave this stuff as it is, but then filter out any tiny blocks. Does that make sense? Update the lane blocks, or no, should happen before then. Or should it? Convert, edit data. So this function is converting the this edit data that we're generating into these edit block things, which are basically used to visualize the blocks on the screen. The problem is not the visualization, the problem is the actual edit data that I'm generating. So actually the problem is in here. If I Okay, I'm going to take a break for 20 minutes to take a shit, and then I will come back and resume the recording. So maybe my head will clear a little bit during that evacuation. All right, be back in a sec. All right, what was I doing? Okay. I can't even remember what I was doing now. Oh yeah. Oh no. Right. So I'm still generating a block of size 0 here when I erase. Okay. This should be generating that tiny little block. Yeah, so this is the current state of the lane. We have a block of size 1, and I'm erasing to the left of it, which is incorrectly generating a block at 3139 of size 0. I think that's what's happening. So I'm painting erasure from 1036 to 1037. Which is the pixel. So that doesn't do anything. Apparently. 3139. Why is it doing that? God, why didn't I write comments here? Possibly because I didn't even understand how it worked at the time. Might have been high on crack cocaine when I wrote this. This is a good example, good demonstration of why. One of the reasons why blockhead development is so slow is because I'm really dumb and bad at programming. I want to see that happen again. What exactly is it doing? It's pushing this. I don't know why it's doing that. All right, fine. Since I don't understand the code, but I do want to still fix this. I think I'm just going to add another step at the end of this function, which filters out blocks of size 0. I'm going to write the word hack. So how do we do that? Um, Think about how I do that. Gonna have to iterate backwards through this vector. Let me just think about that. Is that fine? I don't know because I'm dumb. I have no idea if that's fine. Just see if it crashes. Sometimes you have to accept that you're just dumb. Yes, thank you. Okay. Because we got to. Oh, I is. Oh, ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha. Let's actually do this. So if there's at least 2 blocks, yeah. Why do I keep doing that? I'm so used to the first thing I do when I'm testing. The first thing I usually do is create a new sample block, but I don't need one in this case. Interesting. Oh, interesting. Oh, should be the other way around. Well, it should be. Whatever, it's fine. Ugh. That's wrong. What the fuck? What's happening there? What? Oh. Oh, right, that makes sense. This algorithm is not correct. Because it should be so we should also filter out any gaps of size 0, I suppose. What would a gap look like? That's not right. That's not right. I already know this is not right. But I want to look at it in a debugger because I cannot visualize it in my head. I think normally with something like this, I would get out like a pen and paper and draw stuff to help me visualize things. But that's not very good for a video, I suppose. Wait, what? What the? Yeah, that's what I thought. See, this is not correct. How am I supposed to just do this? I think I'll sort it out. Excuse me. How does that happen? Right. So if I detect this situation, then I delete both of them, right? There's no way this is right. Like this loop that I'm writing here. Mm. This should... It should... Fucking hell, my brain's exploding. It's not a particularly difficult problem, but I'm just very sleepy today, I think. Mm-hmm. Why? Oh, right. Yes, that makes sense. Because I shouldn't be going to 1. I should be going there. Right? I think so. It's still fucked. And that's broken now. What's happening? What is happening? Oh, hold on. I'm silly. I'm silly. I'm silly. I'm silly. It's already. It's just this. Let me think about this again. So that's working now. That is still not. Right. Such a hack. Even my hack has hacks. Okay, so that's all correct now. Painting to the left is also fixed. That's brilliant. I was hoping that would be the case, that that would also fix the painting to the left issue. All right. So there we go. Very hacky solution to that bug. Took me a while because I think I'm just not sufficiently caffeinated or well slept. Brain's going dead again. Okay. Oh, I didn't commit this stuff that I did earlier. This is just formatting. Changes. Formatting. Formatting. I don't know why I clicked that button. Okay, this one. Fix, what editor, zooming bug. And this one, hacky fix for, step blocks of size 0 being generated. Yes, okay. Now let's go back to the reverse problem. Let me just confirm that it's still a problem. What the fuck? That fix that I just did for the editor, I don't understand. It fixed it. What? No, I don't understand that. Oh, no. The correction grains are disabled at the moment. Fucking hell, I thought I was going insane then. So let me just confirm that it's still an issue. I like this sample better. So. What? It actually did fix it. Oh, no, it didn't. Again, I didn't rebuild the plugin. Please. This is a roller coaster of emotions right now. So. Yeah. Delete breakpoints. Thank you. There we go, right. Good. Okay, we're in the land of sanity now. So this is still broken. Because it's generating correction grains when it shouldn't be. That's the issue. Okay, let's see what's going on. It shouldn't be happening. Should not be happening. Okay. Correction grains push. This isn't a... Oh, yeah. So this is going to hit. The only place a correction grain should be generated is here and here. But we're all the way over here. We're not even inside the manipulator right now. And it's going to... It seems to be generating correction grains pretty much every audio buffer. So it shouldn't be hitting here. Generate correction grain. So this shouldn't be called. If point search index is not equal to start index. This is a bug in the DSP, but I just don't understand why it's not happening in the old version of Blockhead. That doesn't make sense. Wait, it was happening in the old version, but I think the grains just weren't audible. Let me just confirm that. By doing this. You should stop here, right? It might not do actually because what's happening? I can't create breakpoints. I think it's because I rebuilt the plugin. That makes sense. So I have to copy this to here and rename it again. Yeah. This is that. Please. How many versions of Blockhead do I have open? Please, Windows. Right. Oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. It's interesting, even if I don't add any reverse blocks, it generates these correction grains. Simply by getting into here. What the fuck? Right, well that's interesting. So what I've just seen is I have a reverse manipulator here, but it's got no data in it. But it's still, by the time we get to the plugin, it's saying that we have 2 points, 2 modulation points at least. So I wonder if that's different from the current version of Blockhead. I wonder if that's the difference. No, I don't. I think I already know that that's not the difference. I'm just getting confused now. Let me just check. Oh, wait, no data. Yeah, the same thing's happening. What is this? What even is this? -1 to -1. Well, that should be fine. That's just always the way I was encoding that data. If there's a manipulation block at all for a toggle or an option, it just generates this bogus like -1 data, which should be ignored, but it's not being ignored. So I still just don't like the fact that when I'm outside the modulation area, what is this test? Start index 0, point search index 2. Uh-huh. Generate a correction grain. Why? Why would you do that? Buffer index. Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. This is so weird. Why was I doing this? This is just madness. This has been broken from the start. This is not working correctly at all. I'm amazed that this is not audible in the previous build. Hmm. Right. Okay, I'm going to solve this in a different way. Um, no, that won't even solve it. No, forget that. Um, this is the problem right here. Moved from object. Excuse me? Where? What? Oh my god, is that the issue? I mean, is that why I'm seeing different results between the two builds? Maybe. No. That was a problem though. What was happening there? Was I... I don't know why that was not... I was using this to calculate the... Hmm. I just don't understand. I don't understand. I need to generate a sine. wave. And I can't do that right now because synth blocks are broken. Sine. Just searching for a sine wave on my computer. This one? Yeah, the reason why we're getting artifacts there is because I removed this so the correction grains are not being generated properly. Ah, stop. Yeah, I haven't tested loading projects yet. So I'm going to have to create it again. Do I have a better sine wave somewhere? I don't think so. Ah, annoying. Does this work? I haven't tested this. I have no idea if exporting works. Here it is. Okay, that's good. That sounds really bad. Sounds so bad. This is the previous build. Which sounds fine. It's really bizarre. There must be some difference. Doesn't make any fucking sense. And when I When I debug the current build and the previous build, they seem to be doing exactly the same thing in the DSP. But one sounds fine and the other one doesn't. I fucking changed the plugin again. I changed the plugin again. About 4 minutes ago. Please, let me in. Whoops. So I assume the reason it's working in this old build is because, or the reason it sounds okay, is because the volume of the grains it's generating is always 0. I can see it's not 0 right here. Sorry about that. Let's do this. Why does this sound fine? It shouldn't do. Oh wait, 1 is the dry signal. Still shouldn't sound fine. So fucked up. What? It doesn't make any sense, man. Right, that's the difference between the old build and the current build. Is the old build, regardless of the modulation data in here, it would get to the end of the block and it would generate one correction grain here. Whereas the new build is repeatedly generating correction grains over and over again. So why would that be? You actually can hear an artifact at the edge of this block if you listen closely, because it's erroneously generating a correction grain here. but it's only doing it once in the old build. So this has always been broken. What? What's happening? No, I don't know what's going on now. What? Huh? I'm really confused. Why is it not breaking in here? I didn't rebuild the plugin, I don't think. Oh, I have two blockheads open. That's what I'm doing wrong. Now I've lost my train of thought completely. All right. The difference between the old build and the new build is that new build is incorrectly the new build is incorrectly resetting the traversal state of the modulation every buffer, it looks like. Which means I think I have this thing called unit state, and that is changing every frame when it shouldn't be. Unit state. So this is the old build. Unit state ID 28, next buffer 28, 28, 28, which I think with the new build, that's going to be incrementing every buffer incorrectly. That's not the only bug here, but that's the difference between the old build and the new build, I think. So 30, 30, 30. No. Okay, that's not the problem. That's not the problem. So what is the problem then? Traversal. This is weird. This is weird. This is weird. What? I have no fucking clue. I don't know what's going on. Ah. Right, I found the difference between the old build and the new build. So with the new build, due to the refactor, so I've made some mistake during the refactor where the first time you add a sampler block to the workspace, you get this default warp point right at the beginning. So there should always be, when you first add this block, there should be always be by default one warp point exactly. It's just here at the beginning. But for some reason, it's not until you make edits to the warp points that one warp point is actually propagated to the audio engine. So when the DSP runs for the first time, or when it runs after adding a sampler block, but not editing the warp points yet, the audio engine thinks that there's 0 warp points for some reason. So that is not the bug that I'm trying to find, but it is what explains the difference between the old build and the new build, because when there's no warp points present, when I'm processing the pitch envelope and then the warp handles to try and figure out what the the sample position is at any given point. If there's no warp points, then I'm just copying the positions calculated from the pitch processing directly out for the warp processing, when previously that wasn't happening. And that causes other problems, which I can't be bothered to explain. I don't think I can explain it in words. But anyway, then we just try to fix the fact that the warp points are not being propagated to the audio engine. Let's see what I need to do. It makes sense that there would be a bug there because I did change one big thing, which was previously the only kinds of blocks that could have warp editors were sampler blocks. But I changed that to be any kind of plugin based block. So technically now effect and synth blocks can also have warp markers enabled. I don't have any synth or effect plugins at the moment which have any need for warp markers, so you would never see them on those kinds of blocks yet. But I do technically now support having warp editing on synths and effects if at any point I want to have that kind of editor for some magical, mystical future parameter that I might think of. So because I made a change there, it makes sense that there would be a bug introduced where the warp data is not now being propagated to the audio engine. So where do I want to be looking? I think here. Let me think. Warp data. Engine data. Let's go to the place where the default point is added. Yeah. I think this is what I'm missing. one warp data changed, and then this will update the audio engine. This happens here. I should just do that. Yeah, okay. That didn't make any difference. Okay. Well, this happens in set plugin. Ah, but I might not. Right. Sure. What am I doing wrong? At some point this should be called. It's not ever called. What? It's not until I do that. Right. Interesting. Did I add this? So engine data. Hold on. So engine data. Now I'm really confused. Wait, how am I supposed to do this? I don't remember how this works. Don't remember how anything works. Uh, um, no, this is fucked up. This is not working right at all. Okay, so this data is not updating because it doesn't, um, technically doesn't need to. That's why this is not updating, because it's all default. The warp, that extra warp point that's added as a default is unlike anything else that happens with blockhead parameters. And so the way that these parameter updates initialize doesn't take this into account, because this is just completely different to everything else. Add the default warp point, yeah. So I could just add a hack to sort this out. Ba, 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 ba. Yeah. Engine data base warp data. Wait, what? Blink? Wait, what? How's warp data? Oh. Huh. dear, oh no, 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 oh dear. How should I do this? Uh, um, it's fine. Oh no, that can't work. Ah, fuck. How do we do this? Like this, yeah. Oops. Portable warp data. Does that build? Yeah, yeah. I think maybe that solves that issue. Okay, so now it's acting the same as it did. It's still not correct, but it's working the same as it did in the previous build. Just to check that that is true. There we go. It's not creating correction grains over and over again anymore. But it's still incorrect. And the thing that's still incorrect about it is there was no need for me to shut that down actually. So it's basically always been broken ever since I added the reverse modulation, the reverse manipulators. The problem is basically I had a reverse manipulator with no data on it. And if you listen very carefully, when the playhead passes the edge of this block, the end of the block. No, I can't hear anything. Yeah, I heard it. Could you hear there's a very, very slight artifact here. There's artifacts at the beginning and end just because it's a very hard sine wave, but can you hear that? There's a little click just here. Because it's generating a correction grain which it shouldn't do. And that's not even a... Yeah, it's not even... What the hell is it even doing there? I don't know. But that bug has been around ever since I added the ability to manipulate the reverse parameter. I've only just noticed it now. Nobody's ever reported it, I don't think. It's hard to notice. But it's definitely there. Easier to notice when it's higher frequency. Okay, So I might stop recording now, and I don't know if I'm going to work on this bug tonight. I might just work on easier stuff and start recording again tomorrow and try to solve this. I might just completely with fresh eyes have a look at the way that I'm dealing with those correction grains, maybe throw away the entire thing and start again. Because I don't understand the current code very well. Maybe I just need to stare at it a bit more. Maybe there's just a really simple fix. Okay, let me just stare at it for a little bit right now. Let me just stare at it. It was this file. And it was here. And the problem is not this. Oh, it's also... It also seems to be generating a correction grain at the beginning. But it's like, that one's like truly not audible. But the one at the end happens here. And the reason it's happening is basically when we have reverse data. Okay. This is still broken. Alright, let's solve this and then stop recording. Because I'm like getting really tired now. So we generated this data somehow. Because we accidentally deleted the ending sentinel somehow. In here, this hack that we added. Alright, let's try and reproduce it. See what exact steps I did. What exactly did I do there? I don't remember. Whoa, that was wrong. What happened there? Shit. My hack is incorrect. What's going on there? I should only do that if the value is the same. Yeah. This might still be wrong. I mean, this feels crash free. Okay, I think that's working now. Feels okay. Okay, I need to sort my life out. I need to have a shower and eat food. And then I need to do some more work tonight. So this, do I have a note of it? So this is, okay. So to do, fix erroneous correction grains in Classic Sampler plugin. I might do that tonight. If not, then I will maybe record again tomorrow and try and solve that. But I know this was pretty bad, sort of YouTube video wise, because I was just like completely silent, trying to focus instead of saying anything, because it's just that kind of an issue. I'm not gonna be. It's not the kind of some like I think UI related bugs. I can sort of like talk and solve the problem at the same time. But DSP is slightly more sort of brain wracking. Anyway, bye bye.